It's the International Soccer Preview. We are Soccerphiles Canada. Welcome to Series 32, looking at the players of the 2026 FIFA World Cup. This episode is looking at the players of Canada. Part 1, the candidates. Here we go. Hello and welcome to the International Soccer Preview by Soccerphiles Canada. I'm Kevin and this is Series 32 on the players of the 2026 World Cup. This episode covers Canada's players. We have done media casts for the players of most of the teams, and actually most of them within the last couple of years. So if you're interested in looking into a team before we put out the media cast for this tournament, you can check our back catalogue using the addresses on the screen or in the show notes. All right, on with the show. We're doing this media cast in two parts. Part 1 here is a look at the candidates for the squad and their likelihood of making it. We examine the participation of players in games over the recent period and take into account a couple of other factors to categorize them into definite, likely, possible but unlikely, and seemingly off the squad. We'll go into more detail introducing the players we think likely to reach the final squad, and less, sometimes even just the names of players unlikely to get there. Part 2 will come out when the squad lists are released and the final squad selected. That'll probably be in late May or early June. And at that time, we'll go back over the list that we create here and see who made it and who didn't. We'll also cover things like predicting starters, updating injuries, and surprise selections. So this episode has 3 sections. In section 1, we're going to look at some general information on the team. Section 2 is the main part of the media cast. We're going to cover the candidates, go through position by position, and introduce the candidates who have played since 2024 for the team, and judge their likelihood of selection. And then in section 3, we have some concluding business. We're going to review what we did in section 2 because we're making that a short version of this media cast, and then a couple of other concluding matters besides, like a review of injuries. Okay, let's move on to section 1 then, and we're going to look at Canada's games in the build-up to the Cup. Well, we actually did Canada not long ago. The 2025 Gold Cup was in the summer of 2025. And since then, they've played 6 games in the fall of 2025. They have actually played a game in January and a couple of games in March, but we're saving that for part 2 of the media cast there. So let's look at the games they've played over this period. We have then the 4 World Cup games in June of 2025. Canada just reached the quarterfinals there, a bit disappointingly. Those 4 games, though, will not be part of the participation count of the players. So that begins with their, no, that is not 2026 World Cup qualifying. That is 6 friendlies. 2 in September, 2 in October, 2 in November of 2025. That's really all we have to go on here. In part 2, we will take a look at that January friendly, the lineup. We expect that's going to be a kind of experimental squad or a recruitment game. And then we have 2 friendlies in March of 2025. That we'll look at when we get to part 2. So really, we're just covering 6 games there, and we'll tell you a bit of information about the Gold Cup too. Let's look at their formations over this period. Well, in 9 of the 11 games, that includes, it looks like we have included that January friendly in this data at least. 9 of their 11 games, they used a 4-4-2 formation. So that's the 4 games of the Cup as well. 82% of the games that makes up. And then they used a different formation once in each of the other games. So we look at that and see that actually including the two games where they didn't use that formation, it was still a four-man defense. So they used a four-man defense in all of their games. They never used a three-man central defense during this period. Up at the other end, unlike most teams, they used a single forward only 9% of the games. That is in one of the 11 games. Otherwise, it was a two-man forward line in 91% of the games. If you're a student of Canada, a team that has often struggled with offense, that's a bit ironic because we don't see ourselves as that attacking a team. But there we have it, two-man offense in 91% of the games. Let's look at the upcoming games. So actually, yes, the January game has been played already, but we're going to behave as if it isn't because our research only went up to the end of December in terms of looking at the lineup. So they do have a January friendly. That's in the USA against Guatemala. That was the team that actually knocked them out of the Gold Cup the previous summer. So hoping for a bit of revenge, but perhaps not, because again, we expect it to be kind of a recruitment squad there. Okay, next we have the two friendlies in March. They're both in Canada. The first one is against Iceland and the second against Tunisia. And then they have scheduled a couple of games already, pre-tournament games there. Actually, the first one right here in Edmonton, where I'm broadcasting from. That's a bit of a northern city in Canada there. We're looking forward to welcoming Uzbekistan to our city, and we will play them on June 1st. And the second one is on June 5th, also in Canada, and they will be playing Ireland in that game. So we'll be looking forward to seeing the lineups for those. And let's take a look at the players who might be playing as we move on to section 2, the main part of the media cast, the candidates. We'll begin with the manager. The manager is Jesse March. He's an American manager, USA. He's been with Canada since 2024, so he managed the team throughout this period. Actually, he has 2 tournaments under his belt because he was the manager for the 2024 Copa America and also the 2025 Gold Cup. So, yes, it feels like he's been in the position for quite a while, even though it's really just since 2024. Prior to that, Jesse March was manager of Leeds United in England, and then other teams in Europe, Leipzig in Germany briefly, and Red Bull Salzburg for a couple of years there. He also managed teams, as you might guess, in the USA, New York Red Bulls, 2015 to 18. And he did actually coach in Canada, Montreal Impact, in 2011 and 12. So there we go. I've mentioned his tournaments. Those are the only 2 tournaments for Jesse March, but now he'll have a World Cup under his belt because we consider him a definite candidate and don't expect that to change prior to the Cup. On we go to goalkeepers, and we're going to start by just listing the candidates here, and then we'll go back and give information, especially on the main candidates. We begin with 2 definite candidates, Dane St. Clair and Maxime Crepeau. Our 2 goalkeepers there. No goalkeepers at the likely level, actually, but at the possible level, we have a newcomer, as indicated on the graphics, if you're watching them, by his name being in an orange script. That means he just came in during this period. It is Owen Goodman, the only candidate at the possible level. We have a lot, though, at the possible but unlikely level. Firstly, Tom McGill, and then Jonathan Sirois, and then 2 candidates new during this period. The first, Jaden Hibbert, and then Luca Gavran. And then seemingly off the squad, James Pantimus. If you're looking for the goalkeeper during the last World Cup, Milan Baros He has been off the squad for a little while now. Last appeared in November 2023. We'll talk about him in the big names off the squad section of section 3. Let's go back and look at the candidates, though, beginning with Dane St. Clair. So he's been with Canada since 2021, 18 caps, and he's 28 years old and plays for Inter Miami in the USA since 2026. That's a recent move. He had for a long time been with Minnesota United in the USA from 2019 to 2025, loaned out to a couple of teams at the beginning of that period. His first tournament, Dane St. Clair, was the Gold Cup in 2021. He was the backup keeper or on the bench for that and for the 2022 World Cup, and was not the starter in 2024 Copa America either, but he was the starter in the 2025 Gold Cup. We're going to see that he and our next keeper, Maxime Crepeau, kind of trading starting duties, so we're not sure who's going to start. On that note, we see he started, Dane St. Clair started 3 of the 6 games over this period and was on the bench for the 3 others. And it is Maxime Crepeau, our next candidate, who started the other 3. So as you see, kind of sharing the duties there. Maxime Crepeau, been with the team a bit longer, with Canada since 2016, with 29 caps, and he is 32 years old. He has a recent move to Miami, just like Dane's, or not to Miami, to Florida, just like Dane St. Clair. He moved to Orlando City in the USA since 2026. He's been moving around actually fairly quickly over the last couple of years. Portland Timbers, Los Angeles FC, and then really Canadian teams before that, Vancouver Whitecaps from 2019 to 2022. And then with Montreal Impact quite a bit before that. Maxime Crepeau, his first tournament was the 2016 Gold Cup there. And the Gold Cup is every 2 years, so I won't go through them one by one. He first was the starter in the Gold Cup in the 2021 edition, but was injured for the 2022 World Cup and the 2023 Gold Cup. So his next tournament then was the 2024 Copa America, where he was the starter, but as we saw on the second string keeper for the 2025 Gold Cup, Maxime Crepeau. And just like Dane St. Clair, started 3 of the 6 games over the period. He was on the bench for 2 and actually injured for the other one. So does struggle a bit with injury there. But both of them definite candidates, and we'll talk in part 2 about our thoughts on starters. We're just looking at candidates to make the squad here. No candidates at the likely level. Then let's go down to the possible level where we find Owen Goodman. He has no caps for Canada and is 23 years old. And he was born in England, Owen Goodman. He's on the roster of Crystal Palace since 2022, but he hasn't played any games for them. Rather, he's been loaned out most recently to Barnsley in England since 2026 and Huddersfield prior to that. So Owen Goodman got his first appearance on the bench in November 2025. Didn't start either of the games there, but was on the bench for both of those. So just coming in right at the end there, Owen Goodman. Now we have 4 candidates at the possible but unlikely level. The first one is Tom McGill, and he's on the roster of Brighton in England since way back in 2018. I don't have a note of whether he's played any games for them. He certainly hasn't played many. If he has, he's been loaned out quite a lot. To about 5 or 6 different teams from Brighton. And he played for the England under-17 team, so has connections to England like Owen Goodman. He's been involved in the last 3 tournaments, Tom McGill, backup keeper, I'd say 3rd string keeper for the 2023 and 2025 Gold Cups as well as the 2024 Copa America. However, over the recent period, he was only on the bench for one game and then not selected for the other five. So he's probably the most likely of the group here, Tom McGill, but doesn't look like he's in the manager's thoughts recently. Next, we have Jonathan Sirois. He's 25 years old, no caps for the team, and playing for FC Dallas in the USA since recently. And yeah, I won't go into detail. He's been on our radar since since 2024. He first appeared on the bench in March of 2024 and was named to the preliminary squad for the Gold Cup in 2025, but hasn't appeared during this period. Next, we have Jaden Hibbert, also no caps for the national team, 22 years old. He actually did play 2 games for Jamaica, but didn't commit to them. And he is a US, born in the USA to a Jamaican father and a Canadian mother. So spreading out his citizenship over 3 countries there. He plays for Atlanta United, in sometimes their B team there since 2025. And he was on the bench, subbed in for the first 2 games over this period, and then not selected for the last 4 matches. So he was looking a bit promising there in September, and then not called up. Finally, we have Luca Gavrin. He's 26 years old, also no caps for the national team, and is with Toronto FC in Canada since 2023. And he had first appeared on the bench shortly before the Gold Cup there, and he came back in October of 2025. He didn't start 2 games. He must have subbed in for 2 matches there. I have him starting 2 games, but just our definite candidates were starters. Anyway, kind of in the picture towards the end here. Not selected for the November matches, though, so that's why we have him as possible, but unlikely. And then we have our seemingly off the squad, James Pantomas, has been around for a long time, since around 2017 first appeared on our radar, but the only tournament he was selected for was the 2022 World Cup, so that's 4 Gold Cups that he wasn't selected for. He was injured for the 2023 edition and the Copa America, but was a backup keeper, 3rd string for the World Cup there. And he has been around a little bit. He was named for the preliminary squad for the 2025 Gold Cup, but in fact hasn't been called up since the 2022 World Cup. So seemingly off the squad, James Pantomas. The names to keep in mind here, I would say Dane St. Clair and Maxime Crepeau. There, but again, we'll talk about starters in part 2. Let's move on to the defense and central defenders. So if you recall from from section 1, we are looking at 2 positions here. Canada always using a 4-man central or 4-man defense. So 2 central defenders, a left back and a right back, and looking for 2 positions. I think I said that already. On we go. Definite candidate Derek Cornelius and Joel Waterman. Those were our 2 definite candidates. We have a likely candidate in Moise Bombito and also in Kamal Miller. And we go down to the possible level where we find 2 candidates also, Luc de Fougerolles, and newcomer Alfie Jones. At the possible but unlikely level, Jamie Knight-Lebel, and seemingly off the squad, Kyle Hebert and Scott Kennedy. Also Zach McGraw, all 3 of those seemingly off the squad. Let's take a look at the candidates here, beginning with Derek Cornelius, so a definite candidate here. He's been with Canada since 2018 with 41 caps and no goals. He's 28 years old. And he plays for Marseille in France since 2024, a pretty good club affiliation there. He has, though, been loaned out to Rangers in Scotland since 2025. Prior to that, he played for Malmo in Sweden and Vancouver Whitecaps from 2019 to 2022. He did play for smaller teams in Europe prior to that. Derek Cornelius' first tournament was the 2019 Gold Cup. He was a starter. Didn't actually make the final cut from the preliminary squad for the 2021 Gold Cup and was just on the bench for the 2022 World Cup. It looks like he decided not to participate for the 2023 Gold Cup, so kind of made a comeback there in the 2024 Copa America, where he was a starter, and basically for the 2025 Gold Cup, I think he was injured or something for the first couple of games there. He wasn't on the bench, but gained a starting position when he came back. So Derek Cornelius a bit in and out of the team, really, but really a staple now. He started 4 of their 6 games over the period, subbed in for 1 and was on the bench for 1. We do expect Derek Cornelius to be a starter. Next, we have Joe Waterman, which is not necessarily the case that he's going to be a starter. He's been with Canada since 2022 with 15 caps and no goals, and is 30 years old. Currently playing for Chicago Fire in the USA since 2025 and with CF Montreal. That's the new name for Montreal Impact there. From 2020 to 2025 with Canadian teams for the most part prior to that. In terms of tournaments, he was on the preliminary squad for the 2021 Gold Cup. Didn't make the cut there or for the 2023 Gold Cup, but actually did make the cut for the 2022 World Cup. He was just on the bench for that and for the Copa America. He finally got a starting position in the Gold Cup in 2025 there. He started games 1 and 2, kind of replacing until Derek Cornelius got back there, Joe Waterman. But again, growing in importance in the team here. Over the fall 2025 games, the friendlies, he started 3 of the 6 games there, subbed in for 1, and was on the bench for 1 other. That adds up to 5, so I made a small mistake in there, but I do know it's 3 starts there. Next, we have Moise Bombito. People might be surprised to see he's just at the likely level here. There's been an injury concern over him, which does play a role, but let me go through and you'll understand why. He is with Canada since 2023 with 19 caps and 1 goal. Moise Bombito is 26 years old and plays for Nice in France. So good club affiliations here for Canada. Since 2024, he was with Colorado Rapids in the USA there and smaller teams in the USA and Canada. Moise Bombito also is a citizen of Congo DR, so he could have played for them. We're happy he plays for us instead in Canada. First tournament for Moise Bombito was the Gold Cup in 2023. He was a starter in that cup and in the Copa America 2024. In fact, he was the only Canadian there to start and finish all 6 games in the 2024 Copa America. However, for the 2025 Gold Cup, there was some uncertainty as to whether he missed it due to injury or whether he declined to play, as several of the top Canadian players did. So we're not really sure, but anyway, he was a definite candidate going in, but did not play in the Cup. It actually appears in retrospect that he was struggling with an injury, and he has not played for the team since March of 2025. That's why we have him at the likely level. If he's fit, we think he would be a definite candidate, but he had been out with a shin injury coming into the season in August 2025, so we weren't really sure if he was injured or not. He recovered to play 2 games in late September and early October, but from mid-October 2025, Moise Bombito is out with a lower leg fracture and is still injured. He is an unknown return date. So we'll review that in part two, but we certainly hope he recovers in time to play in the Cup. Next, we have Kamal Miller. He's been with Canada since 2019 with 50 caps there, and he is 29 years old. And 29 years old. Plays for Portland Timbers in the USA since 2024. He's played for Inter Miami and CF Montreal, Orlando City. He also played, no, it's just been Canada and USA for Kamal Miller there. First tournament was the 2019 Gold Cup. He's been part of all tournaments and usually as a starter there, including in the World Cup. The first tournament after from 2021 that he didn't start in was the Copa America. And for that tournament and the recent Gold Cup, he's been more of a substitute coming in there. And over the recent period, the same is true. He only started one of the 6 games, Kamal Miller, and was on the bench for 3 and not selected for 2. But we do see him as a likely candidate here. The 2 that he was not selected for were the September matches, so we don't think he's drifting off the squad there. The first of our 2 possible candidates is Luc de Fougerolles, and he's been with Canada since 2024, 11 caps and no goals for the 21-year-old. So quite young. He's on the roster for Fulham in England since 2023, and but he's been on loan to a small club in Belgium there, Dender, since 2025. He spent 10 years with Fulham's youth club there. He was born and grew up in England. Luc de Fougerolles, despite the name sounding like he's from Quebec there, his first tournament was the 2024 Copa America. He appeared only briefly there in the last game, kind of a B team game there. But in the Gold Cup 2025, he started 3 of the 4 games there. So made a bit of a name for himself there. Over the recent period, he started 3 of their 6 games and was subbed in for 1. However, he was not selected for the last 2 matches. So that moved him down a notch for us there. Always a bit concerning when they're not selected close as the Cup approaches. The other possible candidate is Alfie Jones, newcomer to the squad, also born in England. He's been with Canada since 2025, just 1 cap for him, and he's not a youngster. He is 29 years old. He plays for Middlesbrough in England since 2025, and with Hull for 5 years before that, and Southampton from 2018 to 2020. So Alfie Jones got his first cap in November of 2025, and he started their only remaining game there in November, the second game in November. We'll have to see if he makes it onto the squad. But getting in his way is an ankle injury that he's suffered from late December, and it's an unknown return date on that as well. So injuries causing Canada a bit of trouble here. Let's go to our possible but unlikely candidate. That is Jamie Knight-Lebel. He's been with Canada since 2024, just 3 caps there, and plays for Bristol City in England. And he was on the Gold Cup 2025 squad. That was a partial B team squad there, so a couple of players got in who might not get into the World Cup. He appeared only in game 3 for a few 13 minutes or so. Came in Jamie Knight-Lebel. Didn't start any of the 6 games over the period, but was on the bench for the first 2 and then not selected for the last 4 matches. So kind of on the fringes is Jamie Knight-Lebel, and we consider him possible but unlikely. We have 2 players or 3 players seemingly off the squad. I actually put Kyle Hibbert at the top, but I want to move him to the bottom because the others are a bit more experienced, arguably. Let's begin with Scott Kennedy. His name is in grey, suggesting he is kind of off the squad or retired from the squad or what have you. Basically, this is players who have not played since the beginning of 2024 onward. So Scott Kennedy, 14 caps for Canada from 2021 to 2023. He's 29 years old, and we won't go into detail on these players. He was actually injured for the 2021 Gold Cup and the World Cup following that, but did participate in the Gold Cup in 2023. That was his only tournament. He has been around, though, named to preliminary squads since then, but actually not appearing since the 2023 Gold Cup. That is Scott Kennedy. A very slight chance of him coming back. I always say we will be sure to get at least one of the seemingly off the squad players selected. So that's why we want to at least mention their names. Zach McGraw, his only tournament was the 2023 Gold Cup there, and that was his last appearance. But he too was selected for the 2025 Gold Cup preliminary squad as well. So that's why they're on the list. And then we have Kyle Hebert. His only tournament was the 2024 Copa America, and that was his last appearance. But he too named to the preliminary squad for the last Gold Cup. So all three of those kind of maybe still in the picture. They are all still playing club soccer. Let's go back to, so the big issue with central defence, I think, really is whether Moise Bombito is going to be fit to play. There. Let's go to the left back position. And here we've moved the very versatile Richard Laria. I think he goes by Richard Larea. Or Richie, I should say, Richie. He's a definite candidate, and we're putting him as left back here because that's the position he's been playing in during this period. But you can see him anywhere on the field. He often plays as a right attacking midfielder and is very versatile. And I'll tell you right now that he's playing as left back because they're struggling to find someone in that position. It's a pretty interesting story, but I won't go into too much detail there. Richard Larea, then, a definite candidate. Zorhan Basson is a likely candidate here. Sam Adekugbe would probably be the default player for this spot, but he's been struggling with injury for a long time. And he's just a possible but unlikely candidate at this point. And we'll explain that a little bit more later. Finally, we have Raheem Edwards seemingly off the squad here. So let's go back to Richie Larea. And as I said, he started all 6 games as a left back over the recent period. And he's been with Canada since 2019 with 71 caps and 1 goal. He's 31 years old. He's in his 3rd stint, actually, with Toronto FC since 2024. We hope that he would be successful at Nottingham Forest in England, where he was for a couple of years. But it didn't seem so. He really didn't get much field time and was loaned back to Canadian teams, including Toronto FC there. So mostly with Vancouver and Toronto, but also a 3-year stint with Orlando City in the USA as well. In terms of tournaments, Richie Larea first appeared in the 2021 Gold Cup, where he was a starter, and he's really been a stalwart player, playing in tournaments where a lot of the other 18 players backed out. That's the 2023 and 2025 Gold Cups. We didn't see all of our 18 players. Part of the reason is that the Gold Cup is every 2 years, so that's a discussion unto itself. But Richie Larea, kind of always there in the thick of it, and for the most part, he's a starter right from the beginning. The only exception to that was the Copa America Gold Cup, where he didn't start in game 1, but then gained a starting position. So a very influential player for Canada. As I said, started all 6 games over the recent period. So Richie Larea, a definite candidate. not necessarily a left back if they're able to fix that problem, but you will see him probably somewhere on the field, probably as a starter as well. Next, we have likely candidate Zorhan Basong. He's not really a starter, truth be told. He's been with Canada since 2020 with only 8 caps for the national team. He's 27 years old and is playing for Sporting Kansas City in the USA since 2024. He was with a couple of teams in Romania and has also played in Belgium and in France as well. So a pretty well-traveled player. He's with Anderlecht Youth Club in Belgium there. Kind of jumping back and forth from teams in Europe and in Canada. Zorhan Basong's first tournament was the 2025 Gold Cup. He was actually on the preliminary squad for the 2025 Gold Cup, but then kind of disappeared for 5 years until being selected for the 2025 Gold Cup, where he was a substitute, and then started and finished game 2, but didn't appear after that. Zorhan Basong didn't start any of the 6 games over the period, but he was subbed in for 2 and on the bench for 4 others. So he's being regularly selected now, and we have Zorhan Basong as a likely candidate. That's partly because of the absence of Sam Adekugbe. He's our possible but unlikely candidate here. He has been with Canada since 2015 with 44 caps and 1 goal. He's 31 years old now and playing for Vancouver Whitecaps in Canada. His second stint with them, he was with them since 2023. He has played abroad too, though. He was with a couple of teams in Turkey. He was actually loaned to one of the biggest teams there, Galatasaray. But mostly it's... Vancouver is where he has spent most of his time. He was with, anyway, I won't go into too much detail on him. So he really has been in and out of the team, and a lot of that is due to injury. He was on the preliminary squad as far back as the 2015 Gold Cup, Sam Adekugbe, and he was selected for the 2017 Gold Cup. But basically, he has missed 5 of the 6 tournaments after that. So the only one he was actually selected for was the 2022 World Cup squad there. So a couple of times he just didn't make the final cut, but recently it's been due to injury, or perhaps in 2023. I said a lot of the 18 players kind of declined to play, so it might have been that. But definitely Copa America 2024 and the recent Gold Cup is due to injury, and he's been injured for all 6 games over the period. The poor guy has really struggled with injury, but we would love to get him back. And I think if he was fit, he would be the default starter in this position, but he's been gone for so long that that may not be the case anymore. Finally, we have Raheem Edwards. He's on the list because he was named to the preliminary squad for the 2022 Gold Cup, but actually had been off the team for quite a while before that, last appearing in 2022 on the bench in 2022. The only tournament Raheem Edwards was part of was the 2017 Gold Cup, so really hasn't been in the picture, just on the edge of the picture there. So that's Raheem Edwards. That is left backs. And yeah, in terms of a Canadian perspective on this, we're hoping for the return of Sam Adekugbe, because we think Richard Laria and Alphonso Davies, who plays as left back for Bayern Munich, we would like to use them further upfield because they have attacking value to us as well. So again, here waiting or hoping on a recovery from injury, just like Moise Pompito in the centre-back position. Let's go to the right-back position. We're going to find it's the same story here. The definite candidate is Alistair Johnson, but he too is struggling with injury. We'll come back to that. Also, though, a definite candidate here is Nico Sigur. He's actually coded as a defensive midfielder, but has been covering the right back position in the absence of Alistair Johnson there. And from those two definite candidates, we go down to possible but unlikely Zachary Bronguiard and the other one, Jacquiel Marshall-Rutty. Both of those at the possible but unlikely level. And then seemingly off the squad, Dominic Zator. Let's go back then and look at the definite candidate, Alistair Johnson. He's been with Canada since 2021 with 56 caps and 1 goal. He's 27 years old and is with Celtic in Scotland since 2023. He moved there from CF Montreal and was with Nashville in the USA there as well. Tournament-wise, his first tournament was the 2021 Gold Cup. Alistair Johnson immediately came in as a starter there and has participated in all tournaments except for the 2023 Gold Cup, where he was out for ankle injury and surgery there. But yes, the 2022 World Cup, and in the 2024 Copa America, he was named to the team of the tournament there. And in the 2025 Gold Cup, while several 18 players declined to play, he joined and was part of that tournament. However, over the recent period after the 2025 Gold Cup, he has been injured throughout the whole period. I think he might have. Yes, he played one game in October. I think he went off after 26 minutes and re-injured, it seems, re-injured his hamstring there. So basically out since the beginning of the season, but the second time, the re-injury since November, or it could be October 2025. Anyway, an unknown return date on him. So we're really praying hard here in Canada that these players recover. We value Alistair Johnson quite a bit there. In his place, though, Nico Segura has been deputizing, and Nico Segura's been with Canada since 2024 and has 15 caps and 2 goals. He is 22 years old. He plays in Croatia. Even though he was born in Canada, he played for Croatia's under-23 team and is currently playing for Hajduk Split in Croatia since 2023. But he did play kind of between Canada and Hajduk Split there. Over his career, and in terms of tournaments, he was actually on the standby squad for Croatia's Euro 2024 team. So on the preliminary squad, not selected for the final squad, but named to the 9-man standby squad. Thankfully for Canada, he was not called up. Because if he had stepped on the field there, we wouldn't have him. But we do have him, and we did for the 2025 Gold Cup, where he started all 4 games there. And he did actually play as a central midfielder in that cup, as well as a right back. And over the recent period, he started all 6 games playing as a right back. So Nico Segura, a definite candidate. And we think even if Alistair Johnson comes back, he would be Segura would be selected. Next, we go to the possible but unlikely Zachary Bronguiard, kind of in and out of the team. I won't go into too much detail, but selected for the 2019 and the 2023 Gold Cup, but not for any of the other 4 tournaments over that period, and was kind of a substitute or bench player really in those tournaments. Last appeared for the team in the 2023 Gold Cup, but he was selected for the preliminary squad for the 2025 Gold Cup. So still in the picture a little bit. Next, Jacquiel Marshall-Rutty. Again, a bit of a different story for him. He was on the preliminary squad for the 2023 Gold Cup. That's when he came on our radar, but he hasn't been selected for any of the 3 tournaments since there, including that Gold Cup. Made his first appearance on the bench, so his only appearances were on preliminary squad lists. First appearance on the bench was in September of 2025, and he was on the bench for the September games, but not selected for the October and November games. So Jaquil Marshall-Rutty also kind of in the picture, at the edge of the picture for Canada here. Seemingly out of the picture, though, is Dominic Zator, and he was part of the Gold Cup squad in 2023, a substitute in that tournament. Not selected for either of the two tournaments since, though, the 2024 Copa America and 2025 Gold Cup. He was on the preliminary squad for the latter there, and last appeared on the bench in June of 2024. But just that bench appearance and the preliminary squad selection, Dominic Zator, and we don't think that's enough to really make him a candidate here. So Dominic Zator seemingly off the squad. That completes our look at the defense, and we're going to move on upfield to the midfield, and we're going to just begin by putting Alphonso Davies as a versatile midfielder. As I said, plays left back for Bayern Munich, generally plays as a more attacking midfielder for Canada. So we're not really sure where to put him because he really could appear anywhere on the field. So Alphonso Davies is the captain of the team. Well, we put him as a definite candidate here because certainly if he was able to play, or if he was, yes, able to play in the World Cup, we would see him. The question is whether he will be able to, and I'll talk about that. Well, he's the only candidate on our list, so I'll introduce him now. Been with Canada since 2017 with 59 caps and 15 goals. He's still only 26 years old. And as I've said, plays for Bayern Munich in Germany. He's been with them since 2019. Yes, it was a big surprise to us when he went there, but it's no longer a surprise because he's been there for a while. He went from Vancouver Whitecaps, where he was before that. But he's from right here, where I'm broadcasting from in Edmonton. So we're very proud of him here. He was actually born in Ghana and moved to Canada when he was 5. In terms of, yes, I mean, there are all sorts of plaudits about him being the youngest player to appear for Canada and so on. I won't go into too much detail. He really kind of has, though, struggled with injury or not played for Canada as much as we would hope. He was part of the Gold Cup 2017 squad there in 27 and 2019, injured for the 2021 Gold Cup and also for the 2025 Gold Cup, and then basically, like many 18 players, declined the 2023 Gold Cup. Again, that's because Canada has been asked to play a tournament every summer, and I think the players want the summer off once in a while. So however, he was part of the 2022 World Cup and also the 2024 Copa America he played in, was captain of the team for his first tournament there. So, amazingly though, Alphonso Davies has not appeared for the national team in March of 2025. And I'm glad I'm familiar with Canada because for a lot of teams, I would think, uh-oh, is he off the team or fighting with the team or something like that? He's been out injured with a cruciate ligament tear, as I say, a bit injury prone there, but he has recovered from that injury. So we are definitely hoping to see him at the World Cup there, and it's not a tournament where the A team will decline to play, we're sure. So Alphonso Davies, a definite candidate and looking fit, which is great. We move on to our defensive midfielders, and we have a definite candidate in Steven Eustáquio. And again, I'll remind you, Nico Segur, who we put as right back, is actually coded as a defensive midfielder. Next, we have Samuel Piette at the possible but unlikely level. And seemingly off the squad, Liam Fraser. There's not a lot of difference really between defensive and central midfielders, but we will deal with them separately simply because there's quite a few candidates to look at, so maybe too many to look at in one chunk here. Let's begin by looking at Stephen Eustachio. Been with Canada since 2019 with 54 caps and 4 goals, and he is 29 years old. Plays for Porto in Portugal since 2022. However, he is currently on loan to Los Angeles FC, LAFC in the USA. A few Canadians actually now playing for that team, and played for smaller clubs in Portugal during his career, and also for Cruz Azul in Mexico for a couple of years there. Stephen Eustachio's first tournament for Canada was the 2021 Gold Cup, and of course part of the World Cup 2022 squad. However, he basically has declined to play in the 2023 and 2025 Gold Cups. He was actually on the roster for the 2025 Gold Cup, but he didn't appear. A bit of confusion there because he was involved in the Club World Cup for Porto, but never that. Oh, I think I remember what happened actually, that Porto had said they would release him to play in the Gold Cup, and then somebody changed their mind, whether it was the player or the team. Anyway, he never actually did step onto the field in the 2025 Gold Cup, but he did play in the 2024 Copa America there, Stephen Eustachio, and over the recent period started 4 of their 6 games and was on the bench for 1 and not selected for another. So we're looking forward to him in the World Cup. He's a definite candidate here, and it seems like he will be with us. No candidates at the likely or possible level for defensive midfielders. We will see central midfielders soon. So we go down to possible but unlikely Samuel Piette, one of the longest players for Canada here on the squad. He's been with Canada since 2012 with 70 caps, and he's now 32 years old, and plays for CF Montreal, well, and for Montreal Impact because he was there for the name change. He's been with them since 2017, but has played for some smaller companies, smaller teams in Spain and Germany, Samuel Piette. So he was a very important player back in the day. He kind of represents the older version of Canada, kind of hardworking players, but generally not with big club affiliations there. The 2013 Gold Cup was his first, and he's been selected for every tournament since, except the 2023 Gold Cup, and now is drifting off the team. He was injured for the 2023 Gold Cup, made the roster for the Copa America in 2024, but didn't make the final cut for the Gold Cup in 2025. So kind of drifting off the team, Samuel Piette there, but has been a very stalwart player for Canada. And then we have Liam Fraser. He's been part of several tournaments, actually, up until the 2024 Copa America, but we won't go into detail. He's still kind of in the picture because he's still playing club soccer, but he last appeared for Canada in March of 2024 and wasn't even selected for the preliminary squad for the last Gold Cup, so does seem to be off the squad. All right, let's move up to central midfielders, and we begin with the definite candidate in Ismail Kone. And then we have a definite candidate in Nathan Saliba, maybe called Nathan Dylan Saliba, but I think Nathan Saliba sounds more familiar to my ears. Those are 2 definite candidates. Next, we have likely candidate Matthew Chaunier. And then we have possible candidate Junior Hoylett. And seemingly off the squad, Mark Anthony Kay and Victor Loturi, also seemingly off the squad. So let's take a look at these players. We don't have any players coded as left and right midfielders, so this will be it for the kind of defensive central end of the midfield. Ismail Kone, with Canada since 2022, he has 38 caps and 4 goals and is 23 years old. And recently moved to Sassuolo in Italy since 2026, having been with Marseille in France for a couple of years before that. So good club affiliations, the kind of stuff we dreamed of in the past, I gotta say. And now we're kind of accustomed to some pretty big names on the team. But as I say, we didn't have players of this level with these affiliations before. He also played for Watford in England from 2022 to 24 and was with CF Montreal at the beginning of his career and in his youth career as well. Ismail Kone's first tournament was the World Cup in 2022. He subbed into all 3 games there, but declined participation in the 2023 Gold Cup. However, he was a starter in the 2024 Copa America and also took part in the 2025 Gold Cup, although he wasn't a starter in that actually. Just started game 2 there and also subbed into game 3. So perhaps dealing with a problem there in game 1. Over the recent period, Ismail Kone has started all 6 games there, and so the standard midfield for Canada is Ismail Kone alongside Stephen Eustachio. However, making a bit of a name for himself, especially in recent times, is Nathan Saliba, also a definite candidate here. He's been with Canada since 2025. Let me see, with 11 caps and 2 goals, and he is 22 years old and plays for Anderlecht in Belgium since 2025 and was with CF Montreal in Canada for 5 years before that. Gold Cup in 2025 was his first appearance, and started and finished games 1 and 2 there and made a fairly good impression, Nathan Saliba. Over the recent period, he has started 2 of their 6 games, subbed in for 3 and on the bench for 1 other. So kind of is part of that, kind of is able to get some starts or some field time alongside Eustachio and Ismail Kone there. Nathan Saliba becoming an important player for Canada, as is Matthew Chonier, our likely candidate. He's been with Canada since 2023 with 21 caps and no goals. He's 27 years old. One of several players with LAFC, Los Angeles FC, in the USA. He's been there since 2025 and was with Grasshopper in Switzerland prior to that. And CF Montreal in Canada from 2018 to 2024 there. That was his first senior club. Has been on our radar actually ever since being on the preliminary squad for the 2021 Gold Cup. However, his first tournament was the 2024 Copa America. He was subbed in to game 5 there and went on to start and finish game 6, the partial B team game. Over the recent period, Chonier has not started any of their games, but was subbed in for 4 and on the bench for 2 others. So a bit difficult to elbow his way onto the field ahead of Eustachio, Kone and Saliba there, but Matthew Chonier growing in importance. Perhaps dwindling in importance a bit is stalwart Junior Hoilett at the possible level here. He's been with Canada since 2015 with 69 caps and 17 goals. He's 36 years old now, though. And, well, ever since for playing for Cardiff in the English League, Cardiff in Wales there, well, we love him because I grew up in Cardiff, and so we've always supported that team. So with Junior Hoilett playing both for Cardiff and for Canada, he is a well-beloved player, but he's actually been with quite a few teams since they're kind of quickly moving from team to team there. So it's actually Swindon in England since 2026, and with Hibernian and Aberdeen in Scotland prior to that. So 5 teams since moving on from Cardiff in 2021. In terms of tournaments, he was actually invited for the 2011 Gold Cup, but he hadn't decided which team he wanted to play for because he was also eligible for England. He was born in Canada, but eligible not only for England but for Jamaica. Junior Hoylett finally made up his mind in 2015, it seems, and was part of the 2017 Gold Cup and every tournament since. Then all the way up to the 2023 Gold Cup. But he was injured for the 2024 Copa America, actually didn't make the final cut for the 2025 Gold Cup. So as I said, dwindling off the team a little bit. However, he returned after a 10-month absence in September of 2025 and didn't start any of the 6 games there, but he was subbed in for 3 of them. And subbed in for 3 of them. Didn't appear in the last match there. They may include him for his experience with the team. He's a well-respected character, Junior Hoylett. But it looks like if he is selected, he would just be a substitute there. So possible candidate, Junior Hoylett. Next, we go down to seemingly off the squad players. The first one is Mark Anthony McKay, and last appeared for the national team in November of 2023, but was surprisingly selected for the 2025 Copa America preliminary squad there. We won't go into history beyond that unless he's selected, and then in part 2 we will give more information. Finally, we have Victor Loturi. And same situation, last appeared in the 2023 Gold Cup. That was his only tournament, and but was named for the preliminary squad for the 2025 Gold Cup, which is why he's on our list here. And again, we'll get more information if he is selected. But that brings us to the end of the, say the defensive central end of the midfield, and we're going to move on up to attacking midfielders now, and we will begin with left attacking midfielders here. So in Canada's 4-4-2 formation, which they've primarily used recently, that would be a left and right attacking midfielder. So let's begin with Jacob Schaffelberg, a definite candidate here. And at the likely level, we have moved Ali Ahmed. He's coded as a right attacking midfielder, but is a bit of a versatile midfielder. I've even seen him playing in left defense there. And also at the likely level, Jaden Nelson. And then at the possible level, we have Liam Millar, and seemingly off the squad, Stephen Afrifa. He is possible, but unlikely, Stephen Afrifa. Let's take a look at these candidates. So, Jacob Schaffelberg at the definite level. He's been with Canada since 2020 with 31 caps and 6 goals, and he's 26 years old. He, like a few players we've seen, has moved to LAFC, Los Angeles FC, since 2026. He was with Nashville in the USA before that, and then with Toronto FC in Canada as well. Jacob Schaffelberg was around actually on the preliminary squad for the 2021 Gold Cup, but was not selected for that or for the World Cup there. So the 2023 Gold Cup was his first tournament, subbed into that one, and he has always agreed to play there. So part of the 2024 Copa America squad, subbed into games 1 and 2 and gained a starting position, and similarly in the Gold Cup recently subbed into game 1 and gained a starting position. We do kind of regard him as a definite candidate, as a kind of a starter, although he actually hasn't started in any tournaments from game 1. Recently, over the fall 2025 games, he didn't start any of the games. He was subbed in for 4 and not selected for 2 others. So nevertheless, in terms of selection for the squad, we consider him a definite candidate here. However, he has been out with groin surgery, out for groin surgery from mid-January 2025. It might have been a bit earlier but he is expected back in April of 2026, so we will hope for that. Next, we have likely candidate Ali Ahmed, and he's been with Canada since 2023 with 24 caps and 1 goal and is 26 years old. He moved to Norwich in England recently since 2026, a bit of a step up there from Vancouver Whitecaps, where he was from 2023 to 2026. That was his youth club also. For tournaments, his first tournament was the 2023 Gold Cup. He was a starter in that, and just a substitute in the Copa America in 2024, and started game one for the 2025 Gold Cup, but lost his starting position. He was a substitute in game two, but as soon as he came into game two, he was immediately fouled and was injured and had to sub out just 14 minutes later. So Ali Ahmed didn't see a lot of field time there in the last Gold Cup. Recently, he started 4 of the 6 games over the period and subbed in for one and not selected for the last match there, Ali Ahmed. Becoming more important for Canada, though. In this case, he was the left attacking midfielder, kind of, I would say, filling in while Schaffelberg was gone, but Schaffelberg wasn't really gone, so not sure what's going on over there on the left side. Anyway, Ali Ahmed, a likely candidate, regardless of his position. Next, we have Jayden Nelson. He is coded as a left attacker, and he's been with Canada since 2020, but just 12 caps and 2 goals for the 24-year-old. He plays for Austin FC in the USA. That's a recent move in 2026 from Vancouver Whitecaps, where he was just for a year, though he did play in Norway for Rosenborg for a couple of years there, but is associated with Toronto FC for the early part of his career, including his youth club. Jayden Nelson was again on the roster for the 2021 Gold Cup there, but not selected for that or the World Cup in 2022, but was selected for the last 2 Gold Cups in 2023 and 2025. More of a substitute there, and was not selected for the Copa America in 2024. Jayden Nelson started the last game there in November of 2025. That was his only start over the last 6 games, but he was subbed in for 3 and on the bench for 2. So in terms of selection, we have him as a likely candidate because he has been consistently called up in recent times. Next, we have possible candidate Liam Miller, with Canada since 2018, 37 caps and 1 goal. He's 27 years old and plays for Hull in England since 2024, and was with Basel in Switzerland before that. He was actually on the squad for Liverpool in England from 2019 to 2021, loaned out by Liverpool there, but he was with their youth club as well. Liam Millar's first tournament, I think I added an errant syllable in there somewhere, was a 2019 Gold Cup, but he was not selected for the 2021 edition. However, the 3 tournaments after that, World Cup 2022, he was selected, and then a starter in the 2023 Gold Cup and the 2024 Copa America. So it looked like he was actually a little bit ahead of Jacob Schaffelberg there in the pecking order. However, going into the 2025 Gold Cup, he was a definite candidate, but became unavailable due to injury. He returned after a year-long absence in October of 2025, didn't start any of the games, but was subbed in for 2, but then injured for the last 2, Liam Millar. So a possible candidate here. And finally, possible but unlikely, Stephen Afrifa, been with Canada since 2024 with 2 caps, but last appeared in September of 2024. No tournament experience there, which is why his name is in light grey if you're following the graphics on YouTube here. Those are our candidates for left attackers, so a bit uncertain in that position. Right attackers, though, more certain. It's really Tajon Buchanan owning the position. He's a definite candidate here, and in fact the only candidate here, because we moved Ali Ahmed over to the left for this presentation. So Tajon Buchanan with Canada since 2021 and 57 caps and 8 goals in that time. He is 27 years old and is with Villarreal in Spain since 2025. He was with Inter Milan for a short time there, and Club Bruges in Belgium. They were playing in the Champions League. He moved over from this continent in 2021. He was with New England Revolution here. And Tajon Buchanan's first tournament was the 2021 Gold Cup. He was immediately a starter and in the World Cup in 2022. Declined, like many, to play in the 2023 Gold Cup, but was part of the 2024 Copa America squad. He started game one there, but he injured himself in training, actually broke his leg in training there. However, he was back for the 2025 Gold Cup where he was a starter again, so one of the 18 players who didn't decline to play, and has started all 6 games over the recent period in the fall of 2025. So Tajon Buchanan, a very steady starter for the team, and as I said, basically owns the right attacking wing in this case, given Canada's formations. Let's move on to central attacking midfielders. And here we have just one candidate also, and this one's at the likely level, is Jonathan Osorio. And he's been with Canada since 2013, so a veteran for the team with 88 caps and 9 goals. He is currently 33 years old, and he's been with Toronto FC in Canada since 2013, so closely identified with them. Part of tournaments since the 2013 Gold Cup. I won't go through all the details there, but he hasn't missed any tournaments, believe it or not, so he's been coming every year. Since 2021, Canada has had a tournament every year since 2021. That's why some of the players do take a summer off, and who can blame them? But Jonathan Osorio didn't. However, he didn't start any of the 6 games. I should go back a little bit. Say he was a starter in the 2023 Gold Cup, but mostly more of a substitute otherwise. He appeared in all 6 games in the 2024 Copa America, subbing into half of them. But he was injured in training for the 2025 Gold Cup. So even though he was on the roster, he was sent home there. Didn't start any of their games, as I started to say, over the recent period, but he was subbed in for 2, on the bench for 2, and not selected for 2. So is drifting off the team perhaps a little bit, Jonathan Osorio, but a likely candidate, we think. Okay, that's it for the midfield. We go on to forwards. We don't have any players coded as secondary strikers, so we go to kind of centre forwards here. And as I said, Canada rich beyond their imagination, especially compared to the past where we really struggled to score goals. We have Jonathan David as a definite candidate here. And also definite is Tani Oluwaseyi. And he's at the definite level also. At the likely level is Kyle Larin. And then at the possible level, we have Theo Bair and Daniel Jebison. And also Jason Russell-Rowe. Possible but unlikely, Charles Andreas Brim. And then seemingly off the squad, a couple of names, Theo Corbineau, who has an injury issue besides, and Ike Ugbu, also seemingly off the squad now. So we'll go back with the definite candidate, Jonathan David. So he's part of the reason we have become scorers He has been captain of Canada's team. He was in the 2025 Gold Cup there, and he's been with Canada since 2018 with 74 caps and 37 goals. So a goal every second game that Jonathan David has provided for our country. He's still only 26 years old, is with Juventus in Italy now since 2025. He was with Lille in France for 5 years before that, and got his start in Europe with Ghent in Belgium and their youth club, but was with youth clubs in Canada. Prior to that, Jonathan David got his first tournament in 2019 Gold Cup. Wasn't part of the 2021 or 2023 editions. In 2023, one of the players who elected not to participate. Part of the 2022 World Cup, of course, and the 2024 Copa America. And he did elect to play in the 2025 Gold Cup. He was the captain in the absence of Alphonso Davies and Stephen Eustachio there. Started all 4 games in that cup. So has been tremendous for Canada providing goals. Started all 6 games over the recent period. So Jonathan David, a definite candidate. Also definite is Tani Oluwaseyi, and he's been with Canada since 2024 with 21 caps, only 2 goals, a bit low for a forward there. He's 26 years old, and he plays for Villarreal in Spain. So playing alongside Tajon Buchanan, that should be on the tip of my tongue as a Canadian fan. I feel tremendous shame. Both of them playing for Villarreal in Spain since 2025. Oluwaseyi was with Minnesota United for 3 years prior to that move there. And he was born in Nigeria, immigrated to Canada at a young age. And Oluwaseyi's first tournament was the 2024 Copa America, subbed into most of the games there, but was a starter in the 2025 Gold Cup there. And yes, played quite well there, and recently has started 5 of the 6 games, as we saw in Section 1. Canada often going now with a 2-man forward line, so him and David up front. Oluwaseyi started 5 and subbed into the other one. A bit at the expense of Kyle Larin here, who is at the likely level. He, though, has contributed a lot to Canada's scoring. Been with Canada since 2014, Kyle Larin, with 87 caps and 30 goals. He's 31 years old right now. He's on the roster for Mallorca in Spain since 2023, but recently has been loaned out to Feyenoord in Netherlands, and most recently to Southampton in England, where he's currently on a scoring tear, which is wonderful to see. He, like Tajon Buchanan, also played for Club Brugge in Belgium, and he has a lot of experience, Kyle Larin, with Valladolid in Spain, Besiktas in Turkey, and at the beginning of his career in North America here with Canadian and US teams, more US there, Orlando City, there, which Canadians seem to have a bit of an association with, Orlando City in Florida there. Kyle Larin's first tournament was at the 2015 Gold Cup, and he hasn't actually always been a starter. In fact, he's been more of a substitute, but in some tournaments has been a starter, like the 2021 Gold Cup. The only tournament he's missed is the 2023 Gold Cup. Again, one of those players who maybe took the summer off, but he played in the 2024 Copa America and in the 2025 Gold Cup. He was just a substitute there, although he did sub into all of the games. Over the recent period, has started 1 of the 6 games subbed into one. He was out with two separate injuries, actually, for 4 of the matches, including the last 2 matches. So Canada struggling with injury a bit here. I do believe he has recovered from his injury that kept him out of the November games, though. So Kyle Larin, a likely candidate. The first of 3 possible candidates is Theo Bair. He's been with Canada since 2020, but only 7 caps and 1 goal for the 26-year-old. Decent club affiliations for him, though, too. Moved or is with Auxerre in France since 2024 and was loaned to Lausanne Sport in Switzerland since 2025. That's where he is now. Played for a couple of clubs in Scotland, Motherwell and St. Johnstone, having moved from Vancouver Whitecaps in 2023. His only tournament, Theo Bair, was the 2024 Copa America, and he only appeared in 1 game as a substitute there, so not a lot of experience for Canada on the preliminary squads for the 2021 and 2025 Gold Cups there. Returned after a 10-month absence in September of 2025 and didn't start any games, but was subbed in for 2 and on the bench for 2 others there. Theo Bair. Next, we have Daniel Jebison. He came with a bit of promise. I'll tell you why. Been with Canada since 2025, with 5 caps now, and he's 23 years old. Kind of committed to Canada, having also been eligible for England. He plays for Bournemouth in England since 2024, but actually has been loaned out to a couple of clubs, Preston North End currently, and Watford before that. So with England club, Sheffield United was his youth club and first club there. So had been a consideration back in 2021. He was on the preliminary squad for the 2021 Gold Cup. I think he was put on that squad in hopes of joining Canada, and was on the preliminary squad for the 2023 edition as well. He finally did, though, join Canada and play in the 2025 Gold Cup, but just as a substitute in games 3 and 4 there, and hasn't appeared since then, Daniel Jebison. So just at the possible level here. Finally, at the possible level, Jason Russell-Rowe. And he's been with Canada since 2023, but only 7 caps for him and no goals. He is 24 years old and recently moved to Toulouse in France. So another step up, I would say. He's been with Toulouse since 2026 and was with Columbus Crew in the USA for 4 years before that, and is part of the Toronto system as well. Russell-Rowe was selected for the 2023 Gold Cup and the 2024 Copa America, just a substitute in those tournaments, but actually didn't make the final cut in 2025. So his last appearance for the national team was in September of 2024, but he was on the preliminary squad for the last Gold Cup. So Jason Russell-Rowe, we have him as a possible candidate here, which may be slightly generous. Possible but unlikely candidate, Charles Andreas Brim, has been with Canada since 2022, but the only tournament he's been selected for was the 2023 Gold Cup. He last appeared, Charles Andreas Brim, on the bench in June of 2024, but he was named to the preliminary squad for the 2025 Gold Cup. So on the fringes there is Charles Andreas Brim. And seemingly off the squad, we have Theo Corbeanu, and was part of the 2021 Gold Cup. That was his last tournament. He appeared in September of 2022 is in his last appearance, but was named to the preliminary squad for the 2025 Gold Cup. So maybe peeking into the edge of the picture there. Ike Ukbu is with Canada since 2021, only 9 caps for him, and he is now 28 years old, plays for Sheffield Wednesday in England. We won't go into his club history. He was part of the 2022 World Cup squad there, but just on the bench for that, and not called up for tournaments since, but has been on the preliminary squad. He wasn't actually on the preliminary squad for the 2025 Gold Cup, but he did appear in 2024 on the bench. So last appearance in June of 2024. So we're putting all players who have participated or have been called up since 2024 on the list here. Ike Ugbo then seemingly off the squad. So there we go. Canada taking advantage of the gifts they have in scorers and using two attackers. But it's got to be a fairly rare thing for Canada. Anyway, that brings us to the end of section 2 and our look at the candidates. So we're going to move into section 3 here, and we start with a quick review of the candidates. Basically, a race through what we did in section 2, and that's partly because we're creating a short version of the media cast with this. So we will summarize what we did in part 2, and then we have some concluding matters after that. But let's go back to the top of the list and race through the squad. We begin with manager Jesse March. He's been in charge for the last 2 tournaments, the 2024 Copa America and the 2025 Gold Cup, and we don't see them changing him before the Cup. Let's go to goalkeepers, where we have 2 definite candidates, Dane St. Clair and Maxime Crepeau. No candidates at the likely level, but we have a possible candidate in newcomer Owen Goodman there. We do have 4 candidates at the possible but unlikely level, but we're not going to cover that in this summary. We're not going to cover players at the possible but unlikely or seemingly off the squad level. They are on the screen if you're looking at YouTube. There you can see the names. Let's move on to central defenders. We have 2 definite candidates, Derek Cornelius and Joel Waterman. Our likely candidate, Moise Bombito, would be a definite candidate, but is struggling with injury, so hasn't played that much. So he's the first of our likely candidates. The other one is Kamal Miller. And then 2 candidates at the possible level, Luc de Fougerolles and Alfie Jones. Newcomer Alfie Jones. Over to left backs. Well, we have the very versatile player, Richie Larea here, and we have him as left back. That's where he's been playing during this recent period, but it is a bit of it's a position where Canada is kind of struggling. Actually, our possible but unlikely candidate, Sam Adekugbe, might be the default for this position, but he's been struggling with injury so much after the over the past few years that we only have him at the possible but unlikely level, and have been struggling to really find someone for the spot. So in addition to Richie Larea kind of stepping into the position, we have likely candidate Zorhan Bassong, and we might also have out-of-position players covering the left back here. Right back, though, this position belongs to Alistair Johnson. He's a definite candidate. However, he too has struggled with injury recently, and stepping in for him is the also definite candidate Nico Sigur, although he is coded as a defensive midfielder. We put him over here because he has been covering this position. That's it for candidates. We have none at the likely and possible level, and we won't cover below that level. So we move up to the midfield, and we're going to actually just start with Alphonso Davies, who we've classified as a versatile player. He might even cover that left defense position as he does for Bayern Munich too. Definite candidate. We Canadian team likes to use him as more of an attacking player, though. He's captain of the team and a definite candidate. Defensive midfielders, we have definite candidate Stephen Eustachio, but none at the likely or possible level. However, the position does blend in with central midfielders here. So Stephen Eustachio is often partnered by Ismail Kone at the definite level for central midfielders, and increasingly Nathan Saliba, also a definite candidate here. We also have the likely candidate Matthew Chonier there, and possible candidate Junior Hoylett We don't have any players classified now as right or left midfielders, so we move on up to the attacking end of the midfielders. Canada has been using a 4-4-2 formation over the period, so these will be left attacking winger and right attacking winger. On the left, we have definite candidate Jacob Schaffelberg, not playing much recently though, so Ali Ahmed, normally right attacking midfielder or bit of a versatile player there, has been covering this position over the fall 2025 friendlies since the um, last Gold Cup. That's what I'm trying to spit out. In addition to Ali Ahmed as a likely candidate, then we also have Jaden Nelson, and at the possible level, Liam Millar coming back into the picture a bit. On the right side, though, just one player, and he really owns the position. It's Tajon Buchanan. We don't have any other candidates over here. Well, we do have Ali Ahmed, actually, but we've moved him for this media cast. And only one candidate at the central attacker level, and that is Jonathan Osorio at the likely level there. Likely to make the squad. On we go to forwards. Canada is blessed with forwards during this period in history, which has always been our problem, so we're delighted. We have definite candidate Jonathan David, and also definite is Tani Oluwaseyi, and then likely candidate Kyle Laren, and then three candidates at the possible level: Theo Bair, Daniel Jebison, and Jason Russell-Rowe. All right, that brings us to the end of our quick review, and we're going to move on to a couple of other orders of businesses. That's big names off the squad. So we have goalkeeper Milan Borjan. We won't go into detail on some of these players. He actually last appeared in 2023, so has been off the team for a little while now. Also, Lucas Cavallini, same situation, off since 2023, but these are veteran players for Canada, or very experienced players at the least. Stephen Vittoria has been off the team for a while now, actually. Well, still 2023, like the others, but he's retired from football altogether there. And that's it. Those are the three big names off the squad. Really, they've been off the squad, haven't played in the last two tournaments for Canada, but if you're kind of tracking Canada from the last World Cup, those are some of the big names gone. For injuries, Canada struggling quite a bit with injury here, so I'll have to make it snappy. We have right back Alistair Johnson. Right back, Alistair Johnson, a definite candidate. He is out with a re-injury of a hamstring muscle injury, well, since November 2025, but really since the beginning of the 2025 season. An unknown return date for him, so that would be a big loss for Canada. We'll have to update that in part two. Also troubling is the injury of Moise Bombito. Moise Bombito had been out with a shin injury coming into the 2025 season in August of 2025. We weren't sure whether he, like many players, basically wanted a summer off, so declined to play for Canada. They've sent basically a partial B team to the last two Gold Cups because they're being overused, to put it briefly. He did recover to play games in late September and early October, so it seems like it was injury. But then from mid-October, Moise Bombito was out with a lower leg fracture and an unknown return date. So we have him as a likely candidate. He would be probably a definite candidate, but the injuries have prevented him from playing recently, so we're not dead sure. Next, we have central defender Alfie Jones. He's out with an ankle injury from late December, also an unknown return date for him. And then we have forward Theo Corbineau. He is anyway seems to be off the squad, but he is out with a knee injury and an unknown return date. for Theo Corbin. I just want to actually check on Sam Adekugbe there, because he's been struggling with injury for a long time, but would be, or yes, he's on the injury list too. Injured for the Gold Cup and all 6 games after. It's an Achilles tendon injury, and he is also an unknown there. So Sam Adekugbe really has been struggling for several years with injury there. Okay, well, we will certainly hope that those we have good news in part 2 on those players, and that we have no new injuries to talk about in part 2. Closing thoughts for Canada. Well, I mean, we do understand why it's been a really ridiculous schedule. There has been the 2021 Gold Cup, and then the 2022 World Cup, and the 2023 Gold Cup, the 2024 Copa America, the 2025 Gold Cup. So we're not surprised that some players have wanted a summer off and declined, some of them, to play in the 2023 and or the 2025 Gold Cups. The problem is that Canada doesn't have any qualification process for this World Cup. So, we were kind of viewing those games as important for team building there. We also find in the last 6 games, which have all been friendlies in the fall of 2025, that several of the top players, in addition to not playing in the Gold Cup, have been injured during that period. So it's really been quite a while since Canada's A team have really gathered together. Really, the 2024 Copa America was the last time they did that, and they reached the semi-finals. So we have great hopes for Canada, but with all of the injuries and absences, we are a bit worried on what this means for Canada, and also the lack of team building through a qualification process, or even through the last Gold Cup. So those are our closing thoughts on Canada, and we will finish here with a preview of part 2, and we will publish part 2 when the final squads are released, and let you know which of the players on our list made it and which didn't. We may also have a preliminary squad to look at as well. And we'll focus on any surprises. So any notable non-selections, say of our likely or definite candidates who are not selected, or any of our unexpected inclusions. We are almost certain that at least one of our seemingly off the squad players will be selected, so we'll point that out. Also, any new players. We know in January they probably tried out some new players there. In part 2, we're also going to update on injuries. Very important for Canada here, because several top players struggling with injury. Also in part 2, for fun, we talk a bit more about who we think are going to be the starters. So we hope you join us for that, and for other teams that we're covering in this series. We will see you next time. We would like to thank Michael Foster and Pixabay for the wonderful music in this MediaCast. The title of the piece used is "Look to the Sky, Tribal Dance Beats Native American."